Hello, and welcome to another edition of MC in Focus. I'm JT.
And I'm Nicholas Cortez. Here are our top stories.
For high school for high school students in Montgomery County, in-person graduation will be returning this spring. On Tuesday morning, County Council members voted unanimously to amend regulations which would allow for seniors to have an in-person graduation ceremony. However, the new stipulations from the Board of Health Regulations will include several guidelines for graduation ceremonies. These restrictions include graduations to be held at an outdoor venue with attendance limited to 50% of the venue's capacity. Indoor ceremonies will be limited at 25% capacity or a maximum of 250 people, whichever is smaller. Any school planning on hosting an indoor ceremony must gain approval for their plan and they will meet the necessary guidelines. If any attendee tests positive for COVID 19 within 2 weeks after the event, school must be able to establish a point of contact and notify the Board of Health and Human Services. The ceremony cannot last more than 2 hours. No more than 10 people on stage at a time. No group photography or pictures taken as a group on stage. Diplomas must be distributed without handshakes or direct contact. Audience from different households must stay at least 6 feet apart, and no food or beverage at the ceremony.
Five Montgomery County students from Richard Montgomery are now finalists in the Mathworks Math Modeling Project Challenge. Their challenge was to use math in order to find a solution to make the internet available for everyone. The team was given 14 hours to come up with a solution. The competition drew more than 2,400 student competitors in grades 11th and 12th and upper level students in the United Kingdom. They are one of the three groups from around the nation to be part of the final competition. The two other teams are from California and Florida. The winning teams will be awarded a share of $125,000 in scholarships, with the champions receiving $23,000. In their final presentation, they will present their work virtually to a panel of professional mathematicians who will then choose the winners. Let's go Rockets and bring home a win.
Dozens of county restaurants are now gearing up for Moco Eats Week. Moco Eats is a week of celebration and promotion for local restaurants running from April 23rd through May 3rd. Both virtual and in person events will take place. Montgomery County foodies can take advantage of over 50 deals from local restaurants, bakeries, and breweries. Restaurant tours and wine tastings are available. Customers can download the Eats Week app to stay up to date on all the deals and enter to win prizes. More information about the app, the week, and a list of participating businesses is available at visitmontgomery.com.
The MC STEM Ed Community Club, in partnership with the Chemical Society of Washington, will be hosting a virtual event tomorrow morning in dedication to Earth Week. The main goal for this gathering is to understand the relevance of the club's chosen theme, as well as creative awareness of the importance of renewable living. The event will have interactive links directly from the American Chemical Society website. They will also be honoring one of their fellow MC students as they showcase an innovative project which has earned an international trophy and finalist status for an online competition. This is a free event. If you wish to attend, please follow the instructions located at the bottom of the screen to register.
HR 51 passed in the US House of Representatives today. That's the formal name of the DC statehood bill that President Joe Biden officially endorsed last week. Locally, the Montgomery County Council also voted to support the bill. If adopted, DC will be renamed Washington Douglas Commonwealth. Statehood status will give DC two state senators and one House representative. HR 51 passed in the House today and is expected to go to the Senate shortly.
It has been over a year since the Capital One Arena closed. It was closed to the public due to COVID-19 restrictions. According to ABC 7 News, that is about to change. Mayor Muriel Bowser granted the owner of the Capital One Arena a waiver to operate NBA and NHL games at 10% fan capacity, which is roughly 2,100 fans. Capital One Arena does have health and safety protocols in place. The protocols are everyone over the age of 2 has to have a face mask. Fans are required to verbally verify health survey questions. Tickets will be sold in pods of 1 to 4 seats to maintain social distance. For more information, please check the ABC 7 News website.
Two former Washington football team players retired this week. Former Washington quarterback Alex Smith retired on Monday. He earned the 2020 NFL Comeback Player of the Year award for returning to the field from a gruesome leg injury he suffered in 2018. The injury required 17 surgeries, and Smith's leg nearly had to be amputated due to an infection. Smith helped lead Washington to an NFC East championship in 2020. Former Washington Titan Jordan Reed also announced his retirement on Tuesday after 7 seasons in the league. Reed cited concussions as one of the reasons for his retirement. In an interview with ESPN, Reed stated, "I had some lingering effects and sought a professional help to get diagnosed. They told me it was not a good idea to keep playing. I agreed with them." Smith and Reed joined Drew Brees and Philip Rivers on the list of notable players who retired this NFL offseason.
Montgomery County Public Schools is launching a brand new virtual learning program for students next year. The Virtual Learning Academy will cater to students who are working or catering for family members who might otherwise be unavailable to attend classes in person. The program will feature a dedicated team of teachers and staff who are solely responsible for helping students in the program. The academy will run for the entire 2021 to 2022 school year. It is not intended to be an option for students who simply prefer not to return to in-person classes. MCPS is determining what specific criteria will be required for admittance into the program, but students will have to apply and be accepted in order to participate in Virtual Academy. The county is expected to send out a survey this week to gauge potential interest and scope of such an undertaking. As the county moves ahead with the development of the academy, enrollment is expected to begin sometime in May of 2021. Successfully implementing this program would be a great example of the county adjusting its practices to aid students in need during a time of great societal unease and uncertainty.
Coming up next, we have an exclusive interview with supervisors Brian Bobine from the Online Learning and Interim Instruction Services and Matt McGoldrick from the Systems Engineering and Technology Integration at Montgomery County Public Schools to discuss the virtual learning plan for next year.
Every day, we touch countless surfaces with our hands. Surfaces that hundreds, if not thousands of people have already touched. It's important to make sure you're being careful whenever you go out into the public to touch any surfaces that many people have already touched. Right now, especially during these uncertain times, it's important to wash your hands as much as possible. Doing this can help the prevention of spreading of germs and other bacteria that can make you sick. So do us all a favor, wash your hands.
Since the beginning of 2020, masks have been an integral part of our daily routine. While it is true that masks can protect you, they are mostly meant to keep you from infecting others. For example, when you sneeze with one on, all germs are contained within the mask, leaving clean air for the rest to breathe. For those who are immunodeficient, a sneeze can mean life or death. Be considerate and think about who you can save by wearing a mask. You never know who may be vulnerable. So please, next time you go out, pandemic or not, remember to wear a mask whenever you feel ill.
Here's our interview with Brian Bubin and Matt McGoldrick on the future of distance learning in MCPS.
So today I am joined by, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, folks?
Good morning. I'm Brian Bobian. I'm the supervisor for online learning with Montgomery County Public Schools.
And good morning. I'm Matt McGoldrick. I'm the supervisor for our systems engineering and integrations team within the technology office for MCPS.
And it's great to have you guys here. I'm going to be asking a few questions about the MCPS Virtual Academy, which was recently announced. And why don't you all tell me in your own words what the Virtual Academy is and what function it's supposed to serve?
Perfect. Yeah. So the Virtual Academy for MCPS is going to be a pre-K through 12 model where all instruction will take place in a virtual space. It will be a program that will seek to meet the needs of any student who is interested in participating in a virtual experience for both next year and beyond. So this is a long-term solution to an issue that we know was even existed pre-COVID, which was that there was a desire for instruction and learning to take place in a virtual space. And so while the COVID crisis has accelerated the adoption of widespread virtual instruction, it was something that we were looking at before COVID and something that we hope to continue even after the recovery is over.
What do y'all think the greatest challenges for implementing this program will be?
So I'll start on this one and then I'll let Brian chime in. I think one of the greatest challenges we have right now is looking at how do we scale it and looking at the level of interest. We know in talking with some of our neighboring districts that there are interest from the community from anywhere from 5 to 8% of their student body would be interested in participating in a virtual experience or virtual academy. For a district of our size, that's over 10,000 students. That is much larger than our largest high school. So we're looking at a pretty potentially large and expansive program, which has implications for staffing. It has implications for programming, master scheduling. So all of those things really are driven based on the interest and what we believe the enrollment of the virtual academy can and should be.
In terms of the students participating in the virtual academy, I understand there will be some kind of application or enrollment system. Could y'all speak to that a bit and tell me, have there been criteria determined for, what would constitute being admitted into the program?
It's a good question. So there's, we're gathering quite a lot of stakeholder input, both internal to MCPS and community members. Our community partners have a vested interest in ensuring that this, as do we at MCPS, have a vested interest in ensuring that the application process is an inclusive one and meets the needs of all students who are interested in this process. And so there's a lot of work going on right now to determine what that application or enrollment process looks like. What questions are we going to ask folks? What are the criteria going to be, if there are criteria? And all of those are still up for consideration and discussion at this point. So there's been no solid, let me back up. There's been solid conversation around it. There has been no decision making around that particular piece yet.
And I would just say, to add to that, that the interest is very much in making this, an equitable opportunity, and that we focus on equity and access. So to what extent can we make this program available to those that have an interest and can benefit from the virtual learning model, and knowing that there's a number of circumstances in the community that we're trying to attend to.
And what do you all think the biggest asset this program has to offer for students? You mentioned that some students found great success in the remote learning and the remote education. Do you have any, anecdotes about that, or any kind of instances of how that might have benefited any students?
Kind of to Matt's point also is that there oftentimes is a mentality around virtual learning that it is less than. And I want to be clear about the fact that the curriculum that we utilize within the Virtual Academy is going to match the scope and sequence of MCPS curriculum as completed in brick and mortar schools, and that the students who are participating in the Virtual Academy are going to they're going to be taught to the same standard as students in the classroom. So this is not going to be an experience that is less than for students. Another piece that I think we've kind of chatted about in our various stakeholder groups is that just because this is a virtual academy doesn't mean that everything has to stay in the virtual space, and that there will be opportunities both at students' home schools, because the intent is that students will remain enrolled at their home schools and take courses in the virtual academy, which will allow for things at the high school level like participation in extracurricular activities or certain clubs, things like that. But that there's a face-to-face kind of in-person touch point there. And then as well, within the virtual academy space, there will be opportunity for face-to-face communication and interaction among students and families and staff. So that just because the instruction is taking place in the virtual space doesn't mean that all interactions are taking place in the same space. And so I want to make clear that there is that opportunity as well.
That is all the time we have. We would like to thank Brian Bobine and Matt McGoldrick for coming on the show and sitting down with us.
We would also like to thank our producer Simo, our director Brian, and everyone who helped make this edition of MC in Focus possible.
I'm JT Bojang.
And I'm Nicholas Cortez. Thank you for joining us here on MC in Focus.